Lifting family, welcome back. So this is on a quick and simple build for a Nordic curl. I did not go through the entire build of this. Basically, I just kind of show you the overview of it, the end product, and it's really very simple. So I ended up having a piece of 8-foot deck board that I had used, which was a 1x6 by 8-foot piece. I'd cut that in half, and then I had used a scrap piece of wood, which I had purchased from Menards. I had taken a 1-inch floor flange, so a galvanized pipe floor flange. I had drilled that into place at the back end at one end, and then I had screwed in a piece of galvanized pipe to basically create the rise of that. And that is going to really depend on the rise of that to where you'll actually have your ankle pads. It is going to depend on the thickness of your calves. It's going to depend on the size of your foot. That might be a 4-inch piece of pipe, that might be a 6-inch piece of pipe. That's going to then connect into a T-piece for the galvanized pipe, and then there's going to be 2 pieces that are going to come out, which are 4 inches each, and that will be where you'll put the padding over top of. So that would be where your ankles essentially cuff into. I positioned that flange far enough out so that when my ankle is flexed, that I would basically be able to pin my foot against the back end of the board, and then my ankle would be underneath of the pad so that I would be able to be locked in place a little bit better. On the opposite end of that, I've got an old preacher curl pad that I ended up having. People will tend to throw away exercise equipment. They'll just leave it out by the road. If you can take the pads off of that, generally you'll find that you can use those to kneel on. They really work out well, especially if you're going to do a lunge or a split squat. Generally, so that you're not smashing your knee into the floor. That padding is really dense. It really helps out to soften the blow. So I end up using an old preacher curl pad on the opposite end of that, and that's going to also be varied in its positioning based upon how long your lower limb is. So from your kneecap down to your ankle, that is going to be something where you're going to need to decide how far away from the floor flange that you need to position that pad so that you've got a good level of distance so that your knee will rest on that pad, and then your ankle will cuff underneath so that you're able to do the exercise properly. And basically what I ended up doing was I locked my ankle underneath the pad, and then from that spot I ended up marking out where my knee landed, and then I just put the pad right in the middle of that, so that way I'd have a little bit room further back and then a little bit room further forward, so that I'd be able to adjust if I needed to. The other option would basically be just going to Walmart, grabbing a couch pillow or something cheap. And then as far as the ankle pads, that was another thing where, again, an old Gold's Gym piece, basically the rollers where your knees normally go if you're going to do a lat pull-on exercise, they'll usually use foam pads there. Otherwise, sometimes for like the cheap leg extension that usually comes on a bench, take those off of there. Sometimes saving those ends up helping out, especially in this instance. Basically, that's what I ended up throwing on the outer 4-inch pieces that came out of the T-piece. Toss those over top. That ends up being my ankle pad. What you could do is you could go to any home improvement store like Menards, Lowe's, Home Depot, and you can get pipe insulation. That will end up being something that's not super thick. You can get some that are moderately thick. You could also get a pool noodle, cut that down the center, not all the way through, kind of like a hot dog bun, and basically then you'd have that as padding as well, just chopping on a section long enough so that it would go on that 4-inch piece of galvanized pipe to then make it a little bit easier on your ankle, and then you can duct tape that in place if you wanted to. Other than that, it's a fairly easy build. Thanks for watching. Thank you for your support. Remember to click that like button, smash that thumbs up, turn on notifications. Please remember to subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching, and as always, keep pushing.